A young couple vanishes on a Mississippi highway. No struggle, no bodies, no answers. 30 years later, police get a call that stops everything. The couple has returned, exactly the same. No aging. No explanation. And what they say next changes everything. What if the people you lost never aged? What if time forgot them, but remembered you? Tonight on Scary Reflections, we're diving into one of the most disturbing missing person cases you've probably never heard of. A young couple vanishes on a quiet Mississippi highway in 1995. No struggle. No bodies. No answers. For 30 long years, police, private investigators, and armchair detectives chase shadows, until one ordinary morning, the impossible happens. They come back. Not older. Not changed. Not broken. They look exactly the same as the night they disappeared. No wrinkles. No gray hair. No explanation. Where were they for 30 years? Why did time move forward for the world, but not for them? And what did they bring back with them? Before we begin, make sure you subscribe to Scary Reflections, because the stories we tell here don't end when the video does. Drop a like if unexplained mysteries keep you up at night, and comment below as you watch, because your theory might be the one that makes this story even darker. Now turn down the lights, put on your headphones, and ask yourself one question. If time let someone go once, would it ever let them escape again? On a warm July evening in 1995, Evan and Marissa Caldwell locked the door of their small rental house outside Pascagoula, Mississippi, and walked into the night. They told Marissa's sister they were driving to a late movie in Biloxi, a routine trip they'd made dozens of times before. Evan grabbed his keys, Marissa forgot her purse, and neither of them took a jacket. It was supposed to be a short night. They never came back. By morning, Evan's truck was found abandoned on the shoulder of Highway 90, keys still in the ignition, radio humming softly with a local country station. There were no skid marks. No signs of struggle. No blood. Marissa's purse sat untouched on the passenger seat. Their wallets, phones, and shoes were all left behind. Police searched the marshlands, the bayous, and the nearby Gulf waters. Divers found nothing. Dogs lost the scent within minutes. Investigators interviewed friends, co-workers, even strangers who'd been at the theater that night. No sightings. No witnesses. No leads. Within weeks, the case went cold. For 30 years, Evan and Marissa Caldwell existed only in missing person flyers, dusty evidence boxes, and unanswered questions. And then, without warning, on a quiet autumn morning, they came back. Exactly as they had left. For 3 decades, the disappearance of Evan and Marissa Caldwell haunted Mississippi's Gulf Coast like an open wound. Their faces faded from bulletin boards and newspaper clippings yellowed, but the questions never did. Every few years, a new detective reopened the file, convinced the others had missed something. Every time, the trail ended the same way, nowhere. Investigators chased every theory imaginable. Some believed the couple had drowned in the Gulf, though no bodies ever surfaced. Others suspected foul play, pointing to rumors of drug trafficking along Highway 90 in the 90s. A private investigator even suggested they'd staged their disappearance, but their abandoned money, untouched bank accounts, and grieving families made that theory collapse quickly. Marissa's sister moved away. Evan's parents died without answers. The case file grew thicker, heavier, more hopeless. By 2015, the Caldwells were officially presumed dead, though no death certificates were ever issued. Then, on an ordinary October morning in 2025, a small-town sheriff's office in Stone County, Mississippi, received a call that made the dispatcher pause. A man and a woman had walked into a roadside diner just after sunrise. They claimed their names were Evan and Marissa Caldwell, and they said they'd only been gone for one night. Deputy Lila Harper was the first to arrive at the diner. She expected a prank, maybe confused drifters using familiar names. Instead, she found a couple sitting calmly in a booth by the window, hands folded, faces relaxed. They looked wrong. Not threatening, just out of place. Evan Caldwell appeared exactly as he did in the 1995 photos. Lean frame, thick dark hair, the same faint scar on his chin. Marissa's auburn hair fell past her shoulders, untouched by gray, her skin smooth, her eyes bright. They wore outdated clothes, styles frozen in time. Even their shoes matched the evidence photographs. When asked their ages, they answered without hesitation. 32 and 30. According to the calendar, they should have been in their 60s. Deputy Harper contacted the sheriff, who called state police, who called the FBI. Fingerprints confirmed it. Dental records confirmed it. Every mark, every detail matched files untouched for decades. There was no evidence of plastic surgery, no sign of cosmetic intervention, no biological explanation. Doctors examined them for hours. Their vitals were normal. Their blood showed no anomalies. Cellular aging tests suggested bodies still in their early 30s. The most disturbing part wasn't how they looked. It was how calm they were. When asked where they'd been, Marissa smiled gently and said, "We got lost." The interview room felt too small for what was happening inside it. Evan and Marissa sat across from a rotating line of officials, local detectives, state investigators, federal agents, each asking the same questions in different ways. Where did you go? Who did you see? How long were you gone? Their answers never changed. They remembered leaving for the movie. They remembered the radio playing softly. They remembered a wrong turn off Highway 90, a narrow road swallowed by fog, and headlights that suddenly seemed too bright. After that, everything blurred. Not darkness. Not fear. Just nothing they could explain. To them, no time had passed. When shown photos of their families, they reacted with polite confusion. Evan stared at a picture of his father's gravestone as if it belonged to a stranger. Marissa cried when told her sister had died 10 years earlier, but her grief felt delayed, as though the weight of it couldn't fully reach her. The investigators grew frustrated. There were no inconsistencies, no panic, no rehearsed lies. They passed polygraphs. Their stories aligned perfectly. Yet something unsettled everyone in the room. They didn't ask about the missing years. They didn't ask how the world had changed. It was as if time had moved forward without them, and they weren't sure they wanted to catch up. After 48 hours of questioning, doctors cleared Evan and Marissa for limited release under federal supervision. They were escorted to a temporary residence, a quiet house normally used for witness protection. Inside, the world confronted them all at once. Flat-screen televisions, smartphones, cars without keys. Marissa flinched when a tablet lit up in her hands, pulling it back like it was warm. Evan stood silently in the driveway, staring at a hybrid sedan as if it were something assembled wrong. They were shown the date. October 14th, 2025. Evan laughed at first, certain it was a test. When officials pulled archived footage, presidents, wars, disasters, celebrities aging and dying, his smile vanished. Marissa sat down hard, pressing her palms into her eyes, whispering that it felt like a bad dream that wouldn't end. They learned their names had become legends. Podcasts, forums, unsolved mystery specials. Strangers had speculated about their deaths, their sins, their secrets. People had built careers around their absence. That night, security cameras caught them awake until morning, sitting across from each other at the kitchen table, holding hands. They didn't talk much. But at 3:17 a.m., Marissa looked directly at the camera and softly said, "They're going to find it." Investigators replayed Marissa's words over and over. "They're going to find it." The question wasn't what she meant, it was how she seemed to know. Within days, a new search was authorized along the stretch of Highway 90 where Evan's truck had been abandoned 30 years earlier. Aerial scans revealed something that hadn't been there before. Deep in the marshland, hidden by reeds and water, was a narrow strip of road that did not appear on any modern or archived map. It ended abruptly in a circular clearing, the ground unnaturally smooth, as if pressed flat by something massive and invisible. Soil samples came back disturbed but sterile. No footprints. No tire tracks. No plant decay. The space felt paused. Evan and Marissa were brought to the site under heavy escort. The moment they stepped from the vehicle, Marissa froze. Evan's face drained of color. "This is it," Evan said quietly. "This is where we stopped." Sensors malfunctioned near the clearing. Compasses spun uselessly. Even the air felt heavier, sound slightly muted, as if swallowed. Evan took one step forward, and a piercing tone ripped through the equipment. Marissa grabbed his arm. "We weren't supposed to come back," she whispered. "We slipped out." The ground beneath the clearing shuddered once, gently. And then, as suddenly as it appeared, the road vanished. After the road vanished, the official explanation changed overnight. Federal agents sealed the site, reclassified the discovery, and ordered silence. The public was told the disturbance was a surveying error. Most people accepted it. Some didn't. Evan and Marissa were moved again, this time to a secure medical facility. Doctors began running deeper tests, searching not for disease, but for absence. Scans revealed something subtle and terrifying. Their memories after the fog weren't missing, they were blocked. Neural activity suggested experiences that had been compressed, folded inward, like time stored instead of lived. Under light sedation, Marissa finally spoke more. She described a place without sky or ground, where moments stacked instead of passed. Where voices echoed before they were spoken. Where something watched, not with eyes, but with awareness. Evan confirmed it, adding one detail investigators hadn't expected. "We weren't alone," he said. "Others were there. People from different years. Some older. Some not finished yet." When asked why they were released, both gave the same answer. "It made a mistake." That night, security footage showed Evan standing at the window, staring at his reflection. For just a second, the glass showed something else. His face, older, exhausted, terrified. Then it was gone. Time, it seemed, had finally found them. The changes began subtly. Evan started losing track of conversations, stopping mid-sentence as if someone had muted the world. Marissa complained of hearing echoes, her own words repeating seconds after she spoke them. Doctors blamed stress. The equipment said otherwise. Clocks desynced whenever they entered a room. Digital watches reset. Security footage skipped frames, moments disappearing between seconds. It was as if time around them had begun to fray. Then came the photographs. A nurse snapped a routine intake photo of Marissa. When it printed, her face was blurred, not for motion, but layered, as if multiple expressions existed at once. Another image showed Evan with a faint double outline, an older version lagging half a second behind him. Federal officials argued late into the night. Some wanted the couple isolated permanently. Others believed keeping them anchored to the present was the only thing preventing something worse. Marissa, pale and shaking, finally told them the truth. "We weren't sent back," she said. "We leaked." She explained that the place beyond the fog wasn't finished with them. Time there was tightening, correcting itself. Their return had created pressure, a weak point. "If it closes," Evan added, "it takes everything nearby with it." At 2:41 a.m., every clock in the facility stopped at once. And somewhere in Mississippi, the fog returned. The fog rolled in low and silent, swallowing the trees around the facility until the world shrank to a few glowing emergency lights. Power failed in waves. Radios crackled with voices speaking out of order, sentences finishing before they began. Evan and Marissa knew what it meant the moment the air changed. "It's fixing the mistake," Marissa said calmly. Too calmly. Officials rushed to evacuate, but the exits no longer led where they should. Hallways stretched longer than before. Doors opened into rooms that hadn't existed minutes earlier. Outside, the fog thickened, pulsing softly like a breathing thing. Evan turned to the agents escorting them. "If we stay, it spreads," he said. "Towns. Cities. Anyone near us." Marissa squeezed his hand. For the first time since their return, fear crossed her face, not for herself, but for everyone else. She explained that time was pulling them back, collapsing the gap they'd created by returning unchanged. "There's only one way to stop it," she whispered. "We have to go back together. Willingly." At the edge of the fog, the same narrow road began to form, flickering, unstable, real and unreal at once. Evan looked once more at the present he barely knew. Then they stepped forward, and the fog closed behind them. By sunrise, the fog was gone. The facility stood intact, clocks ticking normally, systems restored as if nothing had happened. Evan and Marissa Caldwell were nowhere to be found. Search teams found no road, no clearing, no evidence the night before had ever occurred, except for one thing. Every photograph, document, and digital record of the Caldwells had changed. They no longer showed two people frozen in 1995. Instead, the images aged normally, progressing year by year, until they ended at a final frame dated October 14, 2025. Evan and Marissa stood together, older now, tired but peaceful, holding hands in a place that could not be identified. Their case was officially closed within a week. Publicly, authorities stated the couple had been victims of a long-term hoax. Privately, the files were sealed, stamped with a classification that did not exist before. Sometimes, along Highway 90, drivers still report heavy fog rolling in without warning. Radios distort. Clocks hesitate. And once in a while, someone swears they see a couple walking hand in hand at the edge of the mist, aging normally now, finally allowed to move forward. Together. The official records say the case of Evan and Marissa Caldwell is closed. No suspects. No crime scene. No explanation. But if you've watched this far, you already know the truth is far more unsettling. 30 years vanished without a trace. A return that defied biology. A road that appeared where no road should exist. And a final decision that may have saved everyone else, at the cost of 2 lives lost to time itself. Or were they lost? Some believe the Caldwells were victims of a phenomenon science refuses to name. Others think they crossed into something that watches us the way we watch the clock, patiently, endlessly. And then there are those who believe they're still out there, waiting. If this story made you uncomfortable, disturbed, or left you questioning reality, then you're exactly where Scary Reflections wants you to be. This channel exists to explore the shadows most people avoid, the cases that don't make sense, and the answers